Welcome to our YouTube channel, The Alien Tales, and please ensure that you have subscribed.
I married the commander of the fleet that destroyed Earth. She doesn't know I'm human. I've infiltrated the highest ranks of the alien armada. My mission was revenge. My mistake was falling in love with the enemy. The crystalline halls of the Vorthak flagship Sovereign's Wrath gleamed with bioluminescent decorations as I stood before Commander Kylia Vex, my soon-to-be wife. Her silver skin caught the light like polished metal, and her four amber eyes fixed on mine with an intensity that made my carefully constructed Vorthak heart skip a beat. The neural implants I'd received during my transformation burned slightly as they worked overtime to maintain my disguise. Do you, Daxon Krell, pledge your essence to mine for the duration of 7 cycles? The ceremonial priest intoned, his tentacles writhing in sacred patterns. I do, I replied, my voice carrying the perfect pitch modulation of a Vorthak noble. 3 years of preparation had led to this moment. 3 years since Earth's destruction. 3 years of planning revenge against the very woman now gazing at me with what I desperately hoped was love rather than suspicion. Kylia's mandibles clicked softly, a sign of contentment among her species. And I pledge mine to yours, my brilliant strategist. The irony wasn't lost on me. She called me brilliant. Yet she had no idea that the Vorthak military genius she'd fallen for was actually Thomas Mitchell, a human refugee who'd spent every waking moment planning her downfall. As the priest bound our hands with ceremonial chains that would dissolve at sunrise, I felt the weight of my deception settling over me like a shroud. When Kylia leaned forward to perform the traditional mind meld that sealed Vorthak marriages, I steeled myself. The neural dampeners I'd had installed would prevent her from seeing my true memories, but the intimacy of the moment, the genuine warmth in her touch, threatened to shatter my resolve entirely. I woke in Kylia's private quarters, surrounded by the soft hum of the ship's life support systems and the gentle glow of bioluminescent plants from her homeworld. She was already awake, propped up on one elbow, studying me with those mesmerizing amber eyes. "You're different when you sleep," she said, her voice carrying that musical quality that made my chest tighten. "Your face relaxes into something almost alien." My blood froze. Different how? Her primary hand traced the ridge along my forehead, the prosthetic bone structure that made me appear Vorthak. Softer, more vulnerable. I find it endearing. She smiled, revealing teeth that could tear through hull plating. My fierce warrior has a gentle heart. I forced myself to laugh, the sound modulated through my vocal processors. The wedding ceremony was more taxing than I expected. The mind meld left me open. "Good," she purred, pressing closer. "I want no barriers between us." If only she knew how many barriers actually existed. The synthetic skin grafts, the bone restructuring, the hormone treatments that had changed my very scent. Every inch of my body was a lie designed to deceive her. Yet when she looked at me like this, with such genuine affection, I almost forgot why I was here. "I have something for you," she said, reaching for a data pad on her nightstand. "Wedding present." My heart hammered as she handed it to me. The screen showed detailed schematics of Earth's final moments, tactical data from the bombardment that had killed 7 billion people, including my sister Sarah and her children. "I thought you might appreciate the elegance of the strategy," Kylia said proudly. My greatest victory. I managed to keep my expression neutral while inside. I screamed. 2 weeks into our marriage, I finally gained access to the Sovereign's Wrath's command center. Kylia had granted me full security clearance as her consort, a level of trust that should have made my mission easier. Instead, it made every step feel like walking through broken glass. "The Terran resistance is more persistent than anticipated," Admiral Thane reported during the morning briefing. His scarred exoskeleton bore witness to countless battles. 3 supply convoys attacked this cycle alone. My people, the survivors I'd left behind, were still fighting. Part of me swelled with pride. Another part worried they'd interfere with my carefully laid plans. "Increase patrols in sectors 7 through 12, Kylia commanded, her tactical mind working with frightening efficiency. "And I want full bioscan sweeps of all personnel. If there are human infiltrators, we'll find them." I kept my breathing steady through pure force of will. The bioscans would detect my human DNA in seconds, despite all the modifications. I needed to act before she ordered fleet-wide screening. My love, I said, using the pet name that made her mandibles click with pleasure. Perhaps we should focus our efforts on the source of their intelligence. Someone is feeding them our convoy routes. She turned those amber eyes on me, and for a moment I saw the brilliant strategist who had orchestrated Earth's destruction. You suspect a traitor? I suspect inefficiency in our security protocols, I replied carefully. Allow me to conduct a personal investigation. As your consort, I have access to personnel files that might reveal patterns our security chief missed. Kylia considered this, her head tilting in that distinctly non-human way. Very well, but report only to me. As the briefing ended, she caught my arm. You're troubled, Daxon. I can sense it through our bond. The marriage bond was weaker than she believed, thanks to my neural dampeners, but not entirely blocked. I had to be careful what I felt too strongly. That night, alone in my auxiliary office, I finally accessed the files I'd needed for 3 years. Personnel records, fleet positions, command codes, everything required to cripple the Vorthak armada from within. My fingers trembled as I downloaded the data to a quantum storage device no bigger than a grain of sand. Working late again, I spun around to find Kylia in the doorway, her form silhouetted against the corridor lighting. She'd moved with typical Vorthak stealth, making no sound. The investigation you requested, I said, gesturing to the displays. I think I've found something. She approached, her proximity making my pulse race for all the wrong reasons. When she was close enough to touch, the scent of her, ozone and metallic flowers, filled my nostrils. How had I come to find alien pheromones comforting? Show me. I pulled up a fabricated report, complete with falsified data trails. Lieutenant Vex has been accessing convoy schedules outside his clearance level. Small discrepancies, but consistent. Kylia studied the information, her tactical mind parsing every detail. Vex served in the Earth campaign. He might harbor sympathies for the humans. The casual way she dismissed my species as worthy of sympathy made my jaw clench. She noticed immediately, something wrong. Just imagining what I'll do to him when we interrogate him, I said, letting calculated bloodlust color my voice. Her secondary arms wrapped around my waist from behind. My beautiful, vengeful mate. Sometimes I wonder what terrible thing the humans did to make you hate them so personally. If she only knew the truth, that Thomas Mitchell had watched his sister's children burn in atomic fire while he hid in a bunker 3 miles underground. That her beloved consort woke every night from dreams of Earth's blue skies and golden wheat fields. They exist, I said simply. That's crime enough. The abandoned maintenance shaft on Deck 47 hadn't been used in decades, making it perfect for clandestine meetings. I waited in the darkness, every nerve on edge, until a familiar voice whispered from the shadows. Mockingbird. Nightingale, I replied, using the code names from our old resistance cell. Captain Elena Rodriguez stepped into the dim light cast by my portable illuminator. She looked older, harder, the way all humans looked after Earth's destruction. Her stolen Vorthak uniform was perfect, but I could see the slight tremor in her hands that betrayed her fear. Jesus, Tome. When we heard you'd married their commander, she shook her head. You're either the bravest man alive or completely insane. Both, probably. I handed her the quantum storage device. Fleet positions, security codes, weapon specifications. Everything you need for the coordinated strike. She pocketed the device with practiced ease. The other cells are ready. When do we move? 72 hours. Kylia is planning a major offensive against the outer colonies. Half the fleet will be deployed, leaving the command ships vulnerable. Elena studied my face in the pale light. You've changed, Tommy. The way you stand, the way you speak. Are you sure you haven't gone native? The question hit harder than I'd expected. I'm still human underneath all this, I said, gesturing to my altered appearance. Are you? Because the Tommy Mitchell I knew would never have hesitated this long to strike at Earth's killers. Her words followed me back to my quarters, where Kylia waited in our shared bed. She looked peaceful in sleep, her aggressive features softened by dreams. One of her secondary hands rested over her heart, and I found myself wondering what her people dreamed about. Did they have nightmares? Did she ever dream of the billions she'd murdered? Bad dreams? She asked without opening her eyes. I hadn't realized I was standing there long enough for her to sense my presence. Just thinking about the mission tomorrow, she extended a primary arm toward me. Come. Let me chase away whatever troubles you. As I slipped into bed beside her, I wondered if Elena was right. Was I still the same man who'd sworn vengeance over Earth's ashes? The emergency klaxon shrieked through the ship at 0347 hours, dragging me from restless sleep. Kylia was already moving, her combat instincts honed by decades of warfare. She was dressed and armed before I'd even sat up. What's happening? I asked, though the ice in my veins already knew. Security breach. Someone accessed the tactical database. Her amber eyes fixed on me with laser intensity. Your investigation may have spooked our traitor into action. My mind raced. Elena and her team weren't supposed to move for another day. Had something gone wrong? We rushed to the command center, where Admiral Thane stood over a tactical display showing multiple red warning indicators. Commander, we have a problem. The intrusion came from within. Someone with high-level clearance. Show me the access logs, Kylia demanded. As the data scrolled across the screen, I watched my careful plans crumble. Elena's infiltration had been detected, but worse, the security protocols I'd helped design to cover my own activities had been triggered. There, Thane pointed to a data stream. Console 47 Alpha. That terminal accessed fleet positions, weapon specifications, personnel files, everything our enemies would need. Kylia's head turned slowly toward me, and I saw the exact moment suspicion crystallized in those beautiful, terrible eyes. Daxon, wasn't that the console you were using for your investigation? The command center fell silent except for the hum of electronic systems. Every Vorthak in the room was looking at me, and I could feel the weight of their attention like a physical force. Yes, I said carefully. Someone must have used my access codes. Perhaps, Kylia said, her voice carrying that deadly calm that had preceded Earth's bombardment. We'll soon find out. She gestured to the security detail. Escort my husband to interrogation room 3. Full bioscan protocols. As the guards moved toward me, I caught sight of Admiral Thane's satisfied smirk. He'd never liked having an upstart strategist so close to his commander. The game was up. In minutes, their scanners would reveal my human DNA, and everything would be over. The bioscanners hummed to life as I stood shackled in the center of interrogation room 3. Kylia watched from behind reinforced glass, her expression unreadable. I could see Admiral Thane beside her, practically vibrating with anticipation. The first scan completed with a soft chime, and the technician's mandibles clicked in confusion. Commander, there's an anomaly in the genetic matrix. Specify. Kylia's voice came through the intercom, tight with controlled emotion. The subject appears to be human, but that's impossible. The bone structure, the skin grafts, the pheromone signature, all clearly Vorthak. I watched Kylia's face through the observation window. Her 4 eyes widened, then narrowed to deadly slits. When she spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. Remove the restraints. Commander, Thane protested. If he's human, remove them. Now, the shackles released with a pneumatic hiss. I rubbed my wrists, buying time while my mind frantically searched for words that might save me. Or at least buy Elena's team the time they needed. Kylia entered the interrogation room alone, her primary weapon drawn but not aimed at me. Yet, how long? She asked. 3 years. Your name? Your real name? Thomas Mitchell, Lieutenant, Earth Defense Force. Serial number. Stop. She raised a hand, and I could see it trembling slightly. You're one of them. The species I destroyed. Yes. The silence stretched between us like a chasm. When she spoke again, her voice carried a pain I'd never heard from her before. Was any of it real? Our marriage? The way you looked at me? The way you... She couldn't finish the sentence. I wanted to lie, to tell her it was all deception, all part of my mission. But standing there, seeing the genuine hurt in her eyes, I found I couldn't. Not at first, I said quietly. But somewhere along the way, yes, it became real. Her weapon hand moved, and I tensed, ready to die. Instead, She holstered the pistol and stepped closer. "Show me," she said. "Show me your real face." With steady hands, I began removing the prosthetics that had defined my false identity. The cranial ridge came off first, revealing the smooth human forehead beneath. The secondary arms were next, sophisticated mechanical attachments that had fooled even Kylia's touch. Finally, I peeled away the synthetic skin patches, exposing patches of my original pale complexion. Kylia watched in fascination and horror as I transformed before her eyes. When I finished, I stood revealed as what I truly was: human, vulnerable, and completely at her mercy. "Your eyes," she whispered. "They're blue. I've never seen blue eyes before." She reached out tentatively, then pulled her hand back as if I might bite her. "You've been living a lie. For 3 years, you've been lying to me every moment of every day." "Yes, and the investigation? The traitor you claimed to have found. A fabrication. I needed access to the tactical database." Her laugh was bitter, full of betrayal. "You played me perfectly. The grieving strategist, the passionate lover, the devoted husband. Which one was real?" "All of them," I said, surprised by my own honesty. "That's what made it so difficult." She began pacing, her predator's grace more pronounced now that she was agitated. "My officers always wondered why I chose you so quickly. A virtual unknown, elevated to my inner circle within months. They thought it was infatuation." "What do you think it was?" She stopped pacing and fixed those amber eyes on me. "Recognition. On some level, I think I knew you were different. Your tactical thinking, the way you approached problems, it wasn't like any Vorthak I'd known. Because I think like prey, not a predator." "Yes." The admission seemed to pain her. "And that made you better at anticipating resistance strategies than any of my other advisors." The irony was overwhelming. My human perspective had made me valuable to her, even as I plotted her destruction. Alarms began blaring throughout the ship, and Kylia's communicator crackled to life. "Commander, we're under attack. Multiple human ships, coordinated strike on the fleet." Elena's team had begun their assault. My heart hammered as I watched Kylia's expression shift from personal betrayal to professional crisis mode. "How many ships?" she barked into the communicator. 17 confirmed, more appearing on sensors. "They knew exactly where to hit us, Commander. Our weapon batteries, communication arrays, they're targeting everything that matters." Kylia's gaze fell on me like a physical weight. "The data you stole. This is what it was for." "Yes." She drew her sidearm, and this time, she aimed it directly at my chest. "I could kill you right now. End this before it gets worse." "You could," I agreed. "But it won't stop the attack. The information is already distributed." "Then why shouldn't I put a plasma bolt through your lying heart?" The question hung in the air between us. Outside, I could hear the ship's guns beginning to fire, the deep vibration of energy weapons that had once reduced Earth cities to radioactive ash. "Because," I said quietly, "somewhere in the last 3 years you started to love me. The real me, even if you didn't know it." Her weapon hand trembled. "You destroyed everything. My trust, my marriage, my fleet. Your fleet destroyed my world. My sister, her children. 7 billion people, Kylia. 7 billion. That's war. That's genocide." We stared at each other across the space between us, representatives of 2 species locked in mortal combat. The human who had infiltrated the enemy's highest ranks, and the alien commander who had fallen in love with her greatest foe. "I have a choice to make," she said finally. "Execute you and try to salvage what's left of my fleet, or, her weapon lowered slightly, or trust that the human I married might help me save both our peoples." The Sovereign's wrath shuddered under enemy fire as Kylia and I stood together on the command deck. Her officers stared at us in shock, their commander and the revealed human spy, working side by side to coordinate the ship's defenses. "Elena's targeting the port docking bays," I said, studying the tactical display. "She's trying to prevent reinforcements from launching." "Your friend is thorough," Kylia replied, her professional admiration evident despite everything. "Admiral Thane, redirect defensive fire to protect the launch bays." Thane hesitated. "Commander, surely you can't trust." I said, "Redirect the defensive fire." Her voice carried absolute authority. Now, as the battle raged around us, I found myself in the surreal position of helping to defend the fleet I'd spent years planning to destroy. But every move I suggested saved Vorthak lives, and every Vorthak life saved meant human lives lost on the attacking ships. I can end this, I told Kylia during a brief lull in the fighting. One transmission to Elena, and she'll call off the attack. And if I let you, some of your people live, some of mine live. We find another way. She studied my face. My real face, human and alien all at once. You would do that? Betray your own resistance. I'd do it for you. For us. For the possibility that maybe we can find peace instead of mutual extinction. The ship shook again under weapons fire. In the tactical display, I could see the human forces pressing their advantage, but taking heavy casualties. Good people were dying while we talked. Kylia made her decision. Send your transmission. My hands shook as I opened a channel to Elena's ship. Nightingale, this is Mockingbird. Call off the attack. Repeat. Call off the attack. Elena's response was immediate and furious. Have you lost your mind? We have them on the run. Stand down, Elena. That's an order. A long pause. Then, Tommy? What have they done to you? I looked at Kylia, standing beside me despite everything I'd put her through. They made me remember that some things are more important than revenge. The human ships began withdrawing, leaving behind debris and the bitter taste of an incomplete victory. As the immediate crisis passed, Kylia placed her hand on mine, the first time she'd touched me since learning the truth. So what happens now? She asked. Now we figure out how to build a future neither of our species expected, I replied. Together, outside the viewports, stars wheeled in their ancient patterns, indifferent to the small miracle of love surviving in the darkness between worlds.